Now, keep in mind that I'm an artist, which has to be one of the greatest opening lines to the act of vulnerability, in my opinion. There's a certain kind of vulnerability that comes with choosing to change in your 40s. You have to have more intention, and somehow it feels a little more scarier because now you know enough to understand what's at stake. You know the weight of your choices. You know how distraction feels, and you also know how fear speaks to you. And it's this fear that has a way of looping itself like a song that you didn't ask to be on repeat. Why are you doing this again? But here's the truth that I'm learning: fumbling is part of the becoming, it's part of the alignment. And being vulnerable is like a doorway to every version of yourself that's awaiting. In a place like YouTube, I'm learning that anything can happen. Opportunities can unfold from one video, one story, one viral moment. And if you're learning to show up as yourself, not the polished version, not with perfect lighting or perfect timing or the perfect caption, but just being the most honest version of yourself, the one who's still learning and figuring out the edits, and the one who sometimes needs to take a couple takes just to say something simple. I feel like there's so much power in just letting people see you in the process and not necessarily after the transformation. I don't think the world needs another mask. I feel like it needs proof that people are real and they're still growing and they're still trying, and that real people still dream at 40 and 50 and 60. I feel like letting yourself fumble openly allows you to discover what it means to not necessarily be careless, but to be courageous. There's a different kind of confidence that blooms when you stop hiding, when you let your voice shake a little bit, when you post a video that isn't quite as perfect as you think it can be. I feel like there's so much power in just letting yourself be a beginner again, even with your life experiences and all your wisdom and all of the extra things that you're responsible for. Being in my 40s, it doesn't mean that I'm late. It just means I'm a little seasoned. Maybe you could say I have a little more focus or a little more intention, but I'm choosing growth, not because I have to, but because I really desire something that fulfills me on a much deeper level at this stage in my life. And the thing about fear is that it likes to ask a lot of questions, but I know I get to decide what those answers are. Fear wants me to rehearse all these scenarios where I lose, but I know that I can imagine the ones where I win. I can pause and ask myself, why am I doing this? But I can also give myself space to breathe and ground and give myself permission to move past those questions. Because I know change doesn't come from being certain, it comes from being courageous. It comes from showing up over and over and over and over again until the fear gets tired. I know that I can stay inspired by simply staying connected to myself, being on purpose, and continuing to be curious. And that I can be inspired by remembering that this is my life, these are my dreams, I have a voice, and I am a moment. I know that I'm building something, and it's not just a channel. I'm building something I can be proud of, something I can look back and say, wow, I really pushed myself. I really got past my fear. I really continued to be uncomfortable. And every step is a quiet promise to my future self. I'm not giving up on you. I'm becoming someone who shows up, someone who can confidently grow publicly, someone who's choosing authenticity over perfection, and someone who learns in real time. I'm learning to choose myself and to allow myself to change without apology. And maybe my vulnerability is the very thing that will open all of the doors that I've been looking for. Now, I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I have to be willing to keep showing up. I have to be willing to stay present, inspired, and I have to be willing to be me. Because this season is not about being flawless, it's about being unforgettably real.